Lord, I thank you tonight for this beautiful day. I ask that you be with the people from Union City and over in Branch County that lost loved ones and property and homes, and just be with them and comfort them tonight, and help us tonight and help us make wise decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you folks for coming out. Okay, y'all we're going to make an amendment to the agenda. We have under clerk's notes the bids for mowing that will need to be moved from clerk's notes to new business.
I'll make a motion to do that.
I'll second. Motion made, second, all in favor? Aye. All right, we're done with that. That takes care of it. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
This, do we have old business, or is just?
No, there's no old business.
Okay. I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second. Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So, okay. The minutes from February, you have a copy of them? You had a chance to look them over? Any corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 9th.
I move we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Mr. Benzini.
Thank you very much. On a bright sunshiny evening, I'm kind of trying to stay out of the sun being here, not that I don't appreciate the vitamin D. So I will be here for your entire meeting tonight. After Ransom moved their meeting date last year, it has become incredibly difficult to make the truck between the two, so I'm going to be alternating. So I will be here. My apologies for not being here last month. I was at Ransom, and so next month I'll be at Ransom. If you need me here for something, let me know, and I will let them know. But in lieu of that, I will plan on seeing you every other month and stay for your entire meeting. So with that, a couple updates from the county. The big news right now is in regards to the Lakeways bond. You may recall that last July, that the Board of Commissioners on an amended motion voted to send that issue, whether we should borrow $15.5 million for the purpose of the construction of a new community mental health facility to the voters at the next regularly scheduled election. So we had to approve language on that. I believe that the deadline for proposals on the ballot for the August primary is the first week of May. Thing can confirm exactly what that date is, but I believe it, so we have to have it done by our last meeting in April. So we had a resolution a couple meetings back with language prepared by our bond counsel, and after considerable discussion on that, that resolution was defeated on a 2-3 vote. And at the conclusion of that vote, Commissioner Leininger announced that it was his intent for our board rules to bring a motion to rescind the resolution, placing on that issue on the ballot, and to proceed forward, having that passed at our next regularly scheduled meeting, to move forward with the county simply going ahead and borrowing those. And the logic being that we had done our statutorily required and published notice of that. There was a group that gathered petition signatures. Their signatures fell short of the required statutory requirement, and so therefore we had no obligation to place that on the ballot, and we would move forward to that. So with that, a citizens group that previously had opposed doing that without voter approval. They mobilized, and with that, at our meeting 2 weeks ago, we had, by my count, about an hour and 20 minutes. I've heard 2 hours. That may or may not include a number of emails that were read into the record. I know I read quite a few that were clearly identifiable for an individual within the 4th Commissioner District. Commissioner Ingalls read a number of them well, and a couple of the other commissioners did enter some of those at their constituents' request of the record, so that may account for the up to 2 hours, but we had a 5-hour-long Board of Commissioners meeting. That is a long time, I will tell you, as you know, sitting up in those seats. But the public did have the opportunity to check in on that, and to a person, 100% of them said, we're not necessarily opposed to this idea, but we want this on the ballot. And since I'm the guy that brought that amendment last July to make it go to the voters, I stand there with them on that. And I'm resolute that we need to, if we're going to borrow that much money, we need to go to the voters on that. So with that, that motion to rescind that was introduced was tabled. Motion by Commissioner Collins to table that. His logic was that he did not have enough information because perhaps Lifeways really didn't want to borrow $15.5 million, that they may have changed their plans a little bit, they may want to borrow less, and he needed all the information on that of exactly the amount that they wanted to borrow before he could vote on the motion to rescind. So that motion or resolution was tabled until our meeting tomorrow. That motion can be taken up off the table and discussed again, or it can simply be left there to die. So we will see what happens tomorrow. I do expect another big turnout from the public. I know I've received a number of emails, and again, those that were clearly identifiable by members from my district, either by putting an address on it, listing the township they lived in, or saying in their email that they're District 4. And they asked that they be submitted for the record. I will be reading those. I will also be handing in copies to the clerk of all the ones that were not necessarily asked to be read into the record. So that will be an interesting one if you're lacking in sleep. Tune into our YouTube video. And we don't have tomorrow on our agenda, we don't have a lot of big business, but I suspect we're going to have a pretty long meeting. To that, moving on to our other big project is the new home for the district court. Our discussion continues on that. We still, even though we have voted that as long as we can find a way to pay for it, the 25 Care Drive, the current Public Lifeways, will be the home for that. That is contingent based on the motion that was passed, that we were able to figure out how we're going to pay for the approximately $3.5 million to renovate that space into adequate for a district court building. We did meet with our architect and went over the pros and cons of that building. We also had some discussions about exploring other possible buildings that might be available. The downside is we have to buy it. And so that we would have the cost to buy them plus the cost to remodel them. And then the other is it would just simply spread our campus out more. And if anything, we're trying to consolidate the footprint we have. Of course, we have the county office building, the Daily News building, the historic courthouse, and then all of our properties out on Care Drive. And we would like to continue to be consolidated. So I do believe that tomorrow we have another closed session for the purpose to discuss the purchase of real property, and I believe that there will probably be some information presented then regarding another option, another piece of property. So again, that discussion continues. I think that the path will become clearer and clearer as we approach summer. Our absolute drop dead date is probably January of 2027. But I think we'll probably, that the choices and options will be chipped away at by June or July. We simply will know because there is no other path. So I will continue to report on that. Materials management plan. After more than a year, and a change in the commissioner representative to our County Materials Management Planning Committee, even though we have an approved materials management first-year plan, and the planning committee was moving forward with putting together what that would look like. We felt with Lake Pleasant Recycling going into the trash pickup business, that was kind of the final piece. We had Commissioner Change who is chairing that, and they have taken a 180-degree change in direction. So it was announced that we are now going to be looking at contracting with the Soil Conservation District. Interestingly, 2 years ago when this idea first came up, they were mentioned as a partner, potentially to help write our plan, and there was crickets from them. However, when it was discovered that we had $82,000 in state grant money for the purpose of creating that plan available, not necessarily given to us because it's a reimbursement grant, suddenly the Soil Conservation District might be interested in helping do that for up to $40,000. So rather than not using that money and just relying on people, members of the committee, and being able to utilize whatever funding to further either recycling programs or other material management plans within the county, it does look like that we are moving in the direction of hiring an outside entity to do that. So it will be interesting. It's also interesting that resolution, even though that the state of Michigan had approved our local material management committee as the designated planning agency to write the plan, a resolution was passed at our last board meeting to rescind that and to name the Soil Conservation District as our designated planning agency. So stay tuned. Also, that you may recall that you probably had a letter that you approved in the last month or so from Clerk Dane in regards to early voting, and once again partnered with the county, and the Board of Commissioners did approve and authorize Clerk Dane contracting with all of the units, and the only unit that we had not, it's my understanding that we had not heard from, but the plan was that they were going to sign on with Somerset. But other than that, all the units already had returned their agreements, and so it looks like that in August and November that we again will be conducting early voting at the county courthouse. And that concludes my report. Unless you have questions.
Hey, the amount of money that Lifeways want to borrow, did you say 15?
$15.5 million.
15. Okay. Let me ask you this. The county's going to borrow this money or guarantee this money?
No, we would borrow it. So basically, to give you the way that this would work. So Hillsdale County Senior Services Center, all right, is contracted as being the County of Hillsdale's agency on aging, all right? So many years ago, the County of Hillsdale bonded, we borrowed, I think it was around $3.5 million. My memory might be a little fuzzy because it was 20 years ago. We bonded for about $3.5 million. Title for that property was transferred to the County of Hillsdale, so it was actually county-owned property. And then the senior center made those bond payments every year. So, and then at the conclusion of that, which was last year, that we quit-claimed the property and building back to them because they had satisfied. So, to answer your question, the county would bond or borrow at $15.5 million with an agreement that we would then own the property that they purchased. There's 8 acres directly behind what I always think of as a skating rink with a well there on Industrial Drive. And we would take title of that property and building. We would then be the property owner as long as those bonds were outstanding. That's 30 years, right? Because that's what they're asking, is a 30-year term. So we would own that building for 30 years. They would make that approximately $1 million a year payment on those bonds, so that then that money would basically just flow through. We'd write the check because we were on the hook, but they would pay us so we could make the bond payment. And then at the end of the 30 years, when those bonds were satisfied, or if they chose to refinance, whatever period those bonds could be called at, then
mentioned buying a building. If you bought a building, would Lifeway stay where they're at?
No. Oh, if we buy a building, no, because they want 21,000 square feet. That building is 9,700 square. They had, or
So they're
before we
getting out
made
of
the
the
decision, even talked about when we district court, they had announced to the county their intent, and just kind of the backroom stuff on that is that they wanted to buy the building. And the reason why they wanted to buy the building is because they wanted, we have 2 floors of the building. Mission works in the basement. So they wanted basically to improve the building. They wanted to double their space, or more than double their current space, all right? But they didn't want to do that in a building that they didn't own, all right? So they actually offered, we'll buy the building. And we, the county, does not want to sell any property in that campus that we have, because we have from where the jail is, the sheriff's department is on Fayette Street, to where the medical care facility is on Mechanic Street. We have that entire parcel of property, and we didn't want to break it up. So then they said, well, you have 3.5 acres across the street from that building. Why don't you sell us that 3.5 acres? And again, we did not want to break that parcel up. We wanted to keep that all as a county complex. So we leased to the health department, we leased to MSU Extension, and we leased to Lifeways, we leased to Southeast Michigan Works, and then of course there's the Little House and medical care facility. So anyways, so the answer to that is that they were going to vacate that building because we said we don't want to sell it. So they actually looked for existing building space, could not find one that they were satisfied with, and that's when they entered the agreement about the property.
So Lifeway's, they're gonna build a brand new building. You guys are gonna get the money for it. You're gonna lease you're gonna have title to the ground
Right.
and the building until
Yeah.
they pay the bond.
Yeah.
So what happens if they dissolve in 10 years?
If they dissolve in 10 years, we still have the obligation. So we're either in the place of we have to find a tenant that wants to rent 21,000 square feet of basically what will be office space, right? Government, I don't think is a great idea to be a landlord. Just usually doesn't work out. So we would either have to find a tenant, we would have to sell that building, we would have to contract with a new entity, because we're statutorily required to have a community mental health agent. But it doesn't mean that they need 21,000 square feet. They might need 6,000 square feet, depending on funding and services that they were going to offer. So consequently, and if we were unable to produce enough income from that property, either by leasing it or selling it, we would have to make that up, those bond payments, out of the general fund. So we are on the hook with, no guarantee that we would have the income
And you still have to come up with $3.5 million to renovate the
to
building.
renovate the court building. Yes.
Doesn't sound like a win-win.
It's not a win-win. I will tell you, I did not vote to sell the building that district court is in. However, I am a county commissioner, and I have to be part of the solution. I'm not going to throw up my hand and say, I had no part of it. I've got to be part of the solution.
Yeah, well, that was a dumb mistake at the beginning. To rent a building that we just sold. Okay, I'm done, but she has a question.
I have a question regarding the amount of money being requested by Lifeway.
Okay.
We have seen it in print that they were asking just over $12 million for bonding for a building, and then we've seen this inflated amount coming from the county commissioners. There's about $3 million difference. Why?
The only request that I have seen is for $15.5 million in funds.
But there's communication from Lifeways to some of the commissioners.
Okay, so you're talking about the internal memo. There was talk about, and again, this was never something that was communicated to the full board of commissioners. Their intent to us was to borrow $15.5 million. there was some discussion evidently in a memo that, has been released publicly, and, publicly or not, everything we do, okay, is open to the public, as we all know, okay, so anything, there's very, very limiting items that cannot be FOIA, all right, but you gotta know it exists in order to be able to FOIA. So the memo that came out, evidently there was some discussion, and again, I'm just looking at that memo that I'm seeing a copy of, is there was some internal discussion, well, maybe we only need 12.5 million, so, and then there was some discussion, well, it looks like that, this is gonna happen, so keep your ask at the 15.5. But the answer to your question, at least as I'm understanding it, is that the only request that we have had formally to the full Board of Commissioners, not to anyone individually, but to the full Board of Commissioners, is for us to bond for $15.5 million.
That's my big question. That, and how are you planning to finance a district court? Is that going to be another bond?
So we would in order to do that, we most likely are going to have to bond, all right? And so, again, that's not an unusual thing, for, general obligation bond. There are two types of bonds, okay? So there's bonds that are paid back, like the public safety radio system. So we actually, the voters authorized a new tax of up to $1 million to repay the bond for the public safety communication. However, a good example is in Jackson County, the road commission there, they bonded for a very significant amount of money to do road improvements. And they did that out of future dollars from the MTA fund. And so we could do the same thing. We can bond, we can borrow money. We do that, it's a little bit more of a special revenue fund, but Drainage does that all the time. We just authorized the Drain Commissioner to bond for a fairly large drain project in Waldron that will be then paid back by drain assessments, all right? So that operating for that drainage district, we can also just do out of the general fund. We can borrow money and make bond payments. That's a relatively common practice from government. So.
I just think that this is an awful burden to put on the people of Hillsdale County.
Don't disagree with it. You will get no arguments from this commission.
That's my vote.
Any other question?
Can you confirm that Lifeway was trying to get a conventional loan and they were denied? I read an article that said that was...
So I cannot confirm that because I'm not part of it, okay? And so it was my understanding that they were negotiating with a local bank to obtain a commercial loan, right? And whether there was an offer made and that they didn't feel that Lifeways did not feel that the terms, either the length, the interest rate, whatever, the security, okay, they either didn't feel that was okay, or the bank said we're not going to do. I don't know that because that's not something that we are part of.
Okay.
No, but it is my understanding that they did apply for a commercial loan from the local bank.
Is it possible for the district, is it Collins that is wanting to find out the exact amount they want?
That was.
Maybe he's confused about what she brought up.
And that's.
I mean, what is he expecting them to want less money?
Well, even if they want less money, the argument, whether 10 million or 15.5, I would say that the voters, should have the opportunity whether we should guarantee that loan or not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you. I'm sorry for a long road.
No, I appreciate that. Mark Klein.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
At our last meeting, we discussed bridges, the 13 bridges that we had to lower the weight restrictions on, and the bridge on Hartley Road, that we applied for a special appropriation from the legislature. The bridge at Lake Bel Air was built with a special appropriation. And so we thought we'd try to, get one for Hartley Road. As far as that, the rest of my report is the motor graders and the trucks have started on the gravel roads. Hopefully, we won't get a lot of rain this week and do away with all the good that they've done. Other than that, I have no more. Mine's a short report tonight. I'll do questions.
Dust control.
Yes,
Which part of the county are you doing first?
we haven't decided yet.
Adams Township sounds nice.
Probably right out in front of your place.
I don't have dirt.
Oh, okay, well, we won't do that then. No, we haven't, last year we did, we started in the south. So
Yeah.
this year we will start in the north. But Adams being
In the
next
middle.
tier down is not as bad as, Jefferson or some of the townships in the middle. But yeah, we haven't decided whether we're gonna start on the east side or the west side yet.
Okay. All right.
Anybody got any questions, comments? You do, sir?
Just out today on a beautiful sunny day, driving Hillsdale County roads, and I see that your trucks have been out and doing some road maintenance. I was just curious because it looked like that the work that I saw done was done with the belly blades on the dump trucks, the salt trucks. I was just wondering if the graders were being deployed as well, if they...
Both the graders and the trucks have their gravel road blades in them.
Okay. So it did not look like that they basically just kind of smoothed up the top. It doesn't look like that, which is typically what happens with trucks. So
Now, to say that all the trucks have dirt blades on,
Right.
I can't testify to that. Some of them may not have got dirt blades. And also, we have to keep in mind, we could get an ice storm, or we could get more snow, so.
absolutely.
You really don't want to go on the paved roads with the carbide bits for the gravel roads.
And then to that, just again, that if there could be some effort, I know that deburning is probably just not going to happen, but if there could be some efforts in places where there are water laying, where there is a berm, if there could just be manually.
Orders have been given to the motor grader operators that wherever there was water laying on the road, to take the blade and make a hole so that water can get out. And then hopefully at a later date, we can do some deburning. They've also been told to make the roads wider, like bringing in a little bit of the berm, unless it's a foot berm, and so that we can eventually get rid of the berms.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on. We're at public comment. Remember, 3 minutes. Keep it respectful, keep your questions to the township board. We will listen to everything you have, write it down. We probably won't engage in a conversation. Okay, so let's keep it amongst you guys talking to us and not amongst yourselves. Be nice. Who's first?
You guys know I like to read, so I thought I'd share a Michigan compiled law with you guys. This is MCL section 752.795. Fraudulent access to computers, computer systems, and computer networks. Act 53 of 1979. Prohibited conduct. Section 5. A person shall not intentionally and without authorization or by exceeding valid authorization do any of the following. A. Access or cause access to be made to a computer program, a computer, computer system, or computer network to acquire, alter, damage, delete, or destroy property, or otherwise use the service of the computer program, computer, computer system, or computer network. B. Insert or attach or knowingly create the opportunity for an unknowing and unwanted insertion or attachment of a set of instructions or a computer program into a computer program, computer, computer system, or computer network that is intended to acquire, alter, damage, delete, disrupt, or destroy property, or otherwise use the services of a computer program, computer, computer system, or computer network. This subdivision does not prohibit conduct protected under Section 5 of Article 1 of the State Constitution, 1963, or under the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. This act went into effect April 1 of 1997. Thank you.
Mr. Mims.
On the $48,000 issue, I haven't heard any update on that, and I'd also just, I mean, it'd be nice to get an update, but I was thinking that something that important, maybe every month we should get some kind of a update on what's being done, who's doing it, and what the resolution seems to be. I guess that's my simple comment.
Thank you. Who's next? Seeing nobody, we'll move on. Out of public comment, old business. Where do we have them? Treasurer's, new business. Under new business, we have bids for mowing. We have one bid. It's the only bid we got. Well, you could have opened it, it's not like.
Yes, yeah, it's so moving.
Okay, the bid was TKC Lawn, Snow and Wood LLC, Chad Beal, for Adams Township, North Lawn Cemetery, for the 26th season, $15,000. And for the town hall, $3,300. Bids for mowing include all equipment for mowing, trimming. Bids for the 2026 mowing season includes down branches, trees, equipment, and gravely mowers, weed whackers, rakes, chainsaws, truck, and trailers. He lists references and the liability, and also has a copy of this insurance. This is the only bid that we received. We entertain a motion to use TKC Lawn, Snow, and Wood for the 2026 mowing season.
Where are they from?
Where's it from?
Who is it?
Bacon Road, Hillsdale, 4911 West Bacon. In Hillsdale.
He's done it the last few years.
Yeah, he's done it the last few times.
How's it compare? Is he
I don't. Give me a second, look up here, it is. I don't have a total on it. Do you have a total on?
It says repairs and maintenance, 15,000.
Is that?
Current budget, so that's probably what we budgeted, right?
No, the mowing, says mowing right here.
That's 3,000.
That's for the township,
Right, and then on the back page is gonna be the one for,
the cemetery.
and it was 18,000 last year.
We paid $18,000.
I mean, that was what budgeted so far this year, that's what we paid, was 18,520.
Yeah. So,
Little ballpark, we usually,
yes, like where we were last year. So, I did entertain a motion to accept TKC to do our mowing.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? All opposed? Okay. I would like to state though, on the cemetery part of that, we need to make sure that if they, if you would, we'll talk to him about the headstones and the materials that are on the graves, whether they're to be removed or not to be removed, not to damage or slide the stones over. And if they do, they need, that has to be part of this to get it fixed. So, we'll leave it at that. All right, moving on, treasurer's notes.
I have nothing, just presenting my monthly investment report
Bills. You have a copy of the bills? Nope. Got a chance to look them over? I'd entertain a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $4,823.70.
I'll make a motion to pay that.
Motion made
Second.
and supported. All in favor? All opposed. Okay, cemetery. The cemetery amount is $1,450 for the cemetery. I would entertain a motion to pay the bill for the cemetery in the amount of $1,450.
Move to pay the cemetery bill.
Motion made
I'll second.
and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? And clerk's note.
Budget meeting is March 23rd at 10 o'clock.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. So budget meeting is March 23rd at 10 a.m. Okay? Y'all want to attend? Okay. Moving on. Supervisor. Okay, we are trying to get the tennis courts and basketball courts done down here. Started out with 5 entities. 2 entities wanted to back out. We weren't so sure if they could do it or not, but we found out, yeah, they can dissolve from the commission without any problem. It has to be board action on their part through their townships. Once their townships say, yes, we want to get out, and it's a unanimous decision, they can back out of that. And it can go down to just one entity if we wanted it to do that. And one entity would be responsible for the whole kit and caboodle. However, I don't know that, and this isn't 100% set in stone whether or not Adams Township wants to stay in. We are going to be down to 3 entities. A proposal was drawn up for the entities that are left, stating that all decisions would be made in 3s. Everybody would be responsible for 1/3. There'd be no 51% for Adams Township or 46% for the village or percentages anymore. It'll be a direct 1/3. All decisions made on that will be made by the 3 entities at 1/3 vote each. And then the money that's used for that will be divided up into 1/3. Everybody will be responsible for 1/3 of the cost of the tennis courts. Any money that's set aside for the future repairs and upkeep on the tennis courts and the basketball court will be done in 3rds. Each entity will be responsible for 1/3 of the cost, 1/3 of the money that's set aside to go towards the upkeeps and repairs. It's the only fair way to do it. And that means that the school's gonna have to come up with a 1/3 as well as the township and the village. And I've talked to four different asphalt companies. I've met with 2. I'm meeting with one tomorrow. And for recommendations on how to deal with the busted up asphalt and the repairs necessary and get a cost onto that, which there is a meeting for the Recreation Commission on March 19th at 6 p.m. and that's at the Village Hall. You guys are welcome to come and listen and give an opinion. But as it sets right now, the proposal was sent to the township attorney for him to tweak it, put his legalese on it, and we will be getting it to the entities before next Monday school decides they don't wanna have a part of it, they can drop out, sign a thing, prove it by the board, say that they don't wanna be part of it anymore, and they can do away with that, and then they'll leave two entities, the village and us. And if the village wanted to drop out, that would just leave us. But somebody has to be responsible for getting it fixed. We all agreed on it way back when, put it in there, we spent a lot of money to get that fixed back in 2001. So we need to stand tall and get it fixed, get it so it can be used again. It's, you know, if we get it fixed and it lasts 20 more years, so be it. So
What's the time of that meeting?
6 o'clock.
Thank you.
So if y'all want to come, that's fine. I
Who
hope
are
to
the
have.
reps?
I'm
Who
sorry.
are the reps from these three?
How many? What?
Who are the representatives?
I have no idea who the school's going to send. I would almost say that it shouldn't be. It should be the superintendent of the school, and rather than pick and choose the board members, the superintendent can come, acting on behalf of the school, and then relay it back to the full board. I think that's ideal. Rick Beach will be the representative for the village, and myself and if Jason would like, will be the representatives from Township. Okay, so this is gonna get done one way or the other, whether we, if they decide they don't wanna be involved, then it'll be up to us to decide, and then we'll talk to the voters before we jump in with a great big pile of money to fix it.
I thought the school couldn't have a representative.
They can, they cannot possess it. We can't sell it or give it to them, but they can be involved in it because they were involved in the beginning.
So they do have a voice.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. They just can't get it because they're not a government entity. And it has to stay a park. It cannot be taken out of a park, it cannot be transferred out of a park. And like it was said before, unless you find a different place to make a park. And then it can be dissolved and sold. But you have to have a park. It has to remain. Okay?
So what kind of documentation was found?
I had papers this big. I had taken it to the school for it to be looked at in order for see if the school wanted to be involved in getting a grant.
So you're saying there was something in there that was the original contract that allowed entities to back out?
Yes.
'Cause I thought
According
that
to
was-
DNR, when DNR was contacted, it can be done away with. They can just dissolve themselves out and go down to just one owner.
So that just changed in the last few weeks, you guys finding that documentation?
Well,
That's
I
not
had
what the conversation was at that last meeting.
the attorney looked into it, and said that it can be taken down to one entity.
Can you share that, or if I call the clerk's office, is that
yeah,
document shareable?
I'll have Fink send it down.
And so then-
He just emailed it to me.
Perfect. So then if another one is run out, and we know 2 are out, and it's down to 3,
Yes, and there's a
are
proposal.
those 3 gonna be locked in, or can they
Well,
back out at a certain
Let me
point?
read the proposal to you, okay? This proposal will allow Moscow Township and Wheatland Township to remove themselves from the commission with their board permission. The remaining 3 members, Adams Township, Adams Village, and North Adams Jerome Public School, will agree to split their responsibilities into 3 separate but equal parts, each paying 1/3 of the cost of repairs and upkeep of the tennis court, basketball court, located south of the North Adams Jerome Public School. We do not have an address on that. I will have parcel number on it. The 3 entities known hereafter as the Recreation Commission will make all decisions as a unit. All costs will be discussed and paid equally in a timely fashion. A fund is to be set aside for repairs. The amount to be agreed upon by for future repairs. The amount to be agreed upon by the remaining members of the Rec Commission.
to remain in and do a
Well,
voice vote, so we
we
know where
agreed
to
to
find
it when we first started this. The board agreed to be involved into it. That's why we're the ones.
We did?
Yeah, we
Since
did
we're-
talk about it, right? Well, and I
Because I don't
agree,
think it did what we were.
100%.
Huh?
I agree with you 100%. We should actually lock it in with a vote and a roll call. If we would want to remain into the Recreation Commission and see this thing through.
Well, we can't all vacate it.
No, it can be down to one and it, just one. Now, that means if the village wants up, they can get out. If the school wants up, they can get out.
And if Adams Township wants
If
out,
we want
Adams
out,
Township
we
can
can
get
get
out.
out. Absolutely.
I think what should be considered is that it should be brought down to a greenfield again. Take everything out, everyone contributes whatever percentage, and then if something else wants to go forward, that's that, whoever wants to remain in. But it seems like there should be a cleanup cost for all that engaged in the original activities instead of just bailing out before having to, clean it up.
Well, you can't get blood from a stone.
I know. So I
And
don't think
so
Adams
that-
Township
this
should
is
volunteer
saying-
for it either.
Well, I don't think that we're looking to pay for all of it either. There is a certain amount of responsibility that we owe to the township. We will follow this through as a township. I'm hoping that the remainder of this board will see that we started it and that we'll see that it keeps going.
Been at it for years.
Absolutely, and it has benefited the people of the township and kids that go to school. I've seen kids come down there all summer long, they'll stop to play. With it brand new, with it fixed, and there was discussions, and we will remain in discussion on how to redo it, whether we are gonna put half tennis, half pickleball.
Yeah, that's a separate, I'm saying back down to a starting point again where the three can get involved.
Absolutely.
And I'd almost question, I think two of you are tied into school, right? Is it appropriate that you're sitting on that rec board that's gonna affect property that the school benefits from?
What do you mean tied into the school?
Well, you were no, don't you both work for the school?
I know.
No,
Oh,
he
you don't,
does.
you are?
No, and I drive to school.
Still, there's an affiliation, might be a little bit of conflict.
I don't think that it'd be conflict if they decide to go. I would recuse myself if that's necessary, but I don't see that to be necessary. It hasn't raised a red flag yet, so.
I'm raising it.
I do have one thing I do want to bring up. The school at the moment pays the liability insurance. Now, that's through Lynch Brothers. I'm not sure how this looks now with multiple entities involved. So you might want to have Ian come in, at least so he can give you an idea of what the cost of the township would be for that insurance, because that's going to be.
Well, and that'll fall under the same thing, with the three entities paying for equal thirds. There is gonna have to be a fund that will be set aside in order for the upkeep, repair, and any expenses that occur on the tennis court.
Because even furthermore, I want to see something happen with that property because it needs to look better. But ultimately, what does, 1/3 is very vague. So what does, you have liability insurance and paying the premium, but what does it cost after a suit as well? Because that's a third of an issue that we may have to look at. I think Bonnie would be able to help the commission with that.
Yeah. See if I can get him to come. All right, anyways, that's my supervisor notes for the evening. I didn't bore you. I didn't, what?
I just had one question. So who's paying is there liability insurance on that land right
Yeah,
now?
the school is paying it right now.
North Adams School's paying
Yeah.
it? How it works?
Yeah, that was, the agreement, the original agreement was that, they would retain the insurance onto the property and utilize it for their phys ed. In order for them to be able to utilize it for part of the school activities, they would keep the insurance onto it. Bad part was, nobody set aside anything to keep the repairs and upkeep fund. It was all gone by the wayside, and nobody bothered to say, hey, I'm gonna throw $500,000. Now I'm just throwing fun. I'm not, don't lock me in on that and record that. But they, you know, what I'm saying is nobody bothered to put a fund together to keep that place up. Nobody bothered to go down and look at it, nobody bothered to go down and say, hey, we gotta get a repair on this before it became a major problem. So.
If I may comment on that, this facility goes back to at least the early to mid '70s.
Yeah, early
And I think that in the beginning there was oil money donated to get it started, and then you're correct, in 2001 it was actually initiated before that, but I think we had the grand opening in 2001.
Yeah,
It was a DNR grant that redid it.
actually, all the paperwork was done in 2003. That's the ones that I got, and I have copies of all that. But yeah, originally it was oil money, and originally North Adams Township was the originator of the grant for that.
In the late 90s, that was started, because when I became supervisor in 2000, it was in process, and I took over as kind of the lead for the Recreation Commission.
Yep. And your name's on it.
Yeah.
And it was, the grant for that was drawn up.
But, you know, you may be right that they finalized it in 2003.
Yep.
And just for the record again, there's considerable drainage underneath that. Goes to the southwest corner, and then from there goes to the ditch, which I think is a county drain, but don't quote me.
And once we get started on this, there's a lot of stuff we have to look up. There'll be, like you said, start at the bottom and work your way up. But we still have to get started. And if it's only gonna be 3 of us, we all have to agree.
I seem to recall the possibility of release from that due to the fact that it's lived its life.
Yeah, it was a 20-year grant.
It's an obligation to keep it in that system for that long.
Yeah, and for the grant, but then after that, it was stated in the paperwork that it has to remain a park indefinitely.
Was it a park or just owned by a government entity?
No, a park.
So is that part of the originating of it back in the 70s, that language was part of it?
No.
Or is that the deed?
You got
It just seems like the attorney looked at that and there was a possibility of release from that. You might put a bug in his ear to that end if you're wanting to do that.
Well, what we want to do is, I don't think that we want to let just one entity take the whole thing over. I mean, we can, if so sees that the township decides that they don't want to be involved into it, and they don't want to spend the money that's going to have to be invested. I got it, the last bid I got for the asphalt company, one of them was $109,000. I've talked to that same company since, and prices are changed. Prices have changed and gone up. So I went and got 3 more bids, and I've heard from 2, I'm seeing one tomorrow, and we'll have 4 different bids if I get this last company to come down. If not, we will at least have 3, and we will compare. But we're gonna compare apples to apples. I'm gonna tell them exactly how one guy said he would do it, and if you guys can do it that way and give me a price as to how much, we'll compare that to the other ones and we'll go from there. But it's not gonna be we can do a better job, because I learned there are 2 different kinds of asphalt. I learned that one, if you paint it, then rust can come up through the paint, because there's metal in the one asphalt. I didn't know that. But the other asphalt that they said they could put down, you can paint it and it will never change color. There wouldn't be any impurities into it. Now, I had them give me a bid on both of those. I'm sure the one that doesn't have any impurities is gonna be pretty steep, because that's gotta be top dollar. So, but we'll find out.
But
So,
if that's $150,000 to get asphalt out, why are all 5 not participating in that, since all 5 put it in?
well, because, like I said, they don't have the money. I mean, we bankrupt Moscow. We end up having any money. We probably, I don't know how they would even come up with
we pay 51% of the 100 and whatever, 150,000, sure.
So that's
That makes
75
sense.
grand.
Yeah.
We don't wanna do that. As it sets on the splitting in threes, our part would be 50 grand. You know, I'm sure it's not gonna end at 150,000. I'm sure that it's gonna be up a little bit, but, I don't know. We're gonna have to find that out. And then we'll go from there. Our first thing is to get locked in on everybody agreeing to be in this thing for thirds.
No, fives. Fives for the demolition.
The other two have already, they already have board approval to resign
Oh,
out.
I understand that, so you guys, I'll ask you guys to approve to get out of it. So we don't have the $50,000 liability to cover up their two other townships.
Well, I would
Portion.
entertain that, and we would put it out for a public meeting and let everybody decide how many people wanna have it, how many people don't. That's what I said. And like I said at the last meeting, I am not gonna spend money that don't belong to me. That's why we held a public meeting that only 15 people came to.
It's more than that, though. You're the advocate for it, you've got an interest with the school. I thought Jason was on the committee, on the rec
Yes.
committee. So why is Jason not speaking to this? Why
Well,
are you taking the lead?
It fell on to the, actually, I don't know, I started getting the bids and the proposals.
Mhm.
You know, Jason and I are both involved in it.
I think you're doing a good job, and you got a March 19th meeting coming up.
Yeah, and we're gonna know more after that meeting, so let's wait until then before we start
Detail.
forming the lunch fund.
Where did this 150,000?
We don't have, that's not,
Oh.
that's stuff.
It was 109, but you said it went up, so just
Yeah.
round numbers are nice to talk
That
about.
was Stephanie throwing coal on the fire.
One other question was, is the tennis court in the basketball? And but not the ball fields?
No, the ball field's involved in that, that's all one piece. But the bid is gonna be to redo the parking lot, basketball court, and the tennis courts. The basketball court will have shovel.
Aren't there 2 ball fields out there?
No, just one.
You might want to check the property description, because I had in my head that the south part is the Rex, but I think you may find that that northern part isn't. I might be wrong on that.
There's a school ball field, but that property stops at that big telephone pole right there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The only ball field involved is the one to the south.
So you've got an extension at least past, if not an L, going along the field,
Yeah.
which would be the southern boundary.
That fence row in the back.
Yeah.
If you drive by and you look at the fence row that runs right by the telephone poles out there, that is the property.
Yeah.
And, so, we'll know more on the 19th.
Randy, there was a little over 2 acres, wasn't it? No,
I don't know for sure, I have to look.
I was thinking you had mentioned
I
that.
think it's more than
More than that.
2.
So on the 19th, those other two get to vote themselves out.
Yep.
So maybe,
We'll vote them out.
okay, well then maybe tonight our board should make a vote, I guess in the affirmative, if that's what you guys want, but our board should have a position coming into it then on the 19th.
Well, and see, the reason we aren't yet is we have to get everybody on board with this before we decide whether or not we want to stay in. Or whether or not Adams Village is staying in. This is just a proposal for them to stay in, and after that, then the decisions get made on the cost. How much money we're gonna spend.
No, back up a step. You're gonna let two vote out
Right.
on the 19th. All, the other three should have board either approval or approval to get out. That's what I'm saying, you guys should vote also. All 5 entities should come into the 19th, yea or nay, so you know what you're working with. You can't just let 2 vote out, the other 3 by default say yes on it, and say, whoa, we gotta get our 3 in place, so that we can start, planning our project. You guys should all take a stand on it, yea or nay, you wanna be part of the 3.
Well, I
Prior to the
That's
19th.
not affirmative.
Let me say something really quick. I don't think this is enough for Adams Township to come forward and say, yes, we want to do this yet. I think there's too many factors and too many variables at play right now. So really, I would love to hear what comes out of the 19th and then come back if Jason could come back or somebody could come back and report out, and then we could make a stand on it as a board. There's just, it's too vague, at least for me, it's too vague.
So we don't even know if the school's gonna stay in. We don't know if Adams Village is gonna stay in. This proposal just says that 2 are leaving and the other 3, if they're set on fixing it, that they agree to become the commission. And they agreed to split the costs. And they agreed to split all the responsibilities. But if they don't agree to it,
Yeah, but you can't agree to that on the 19th until you guys vote as a board and the other 2, the village and the school vote.
Yeah.
There's already
You can't
5
answer.
in it. There's already 5 in it right now.
Correct.
yeah, but
So
they're,
you're gonna be in it until you decide to drop out.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
but
we
if
are.
we're gonna decide to drop out.
Start that in school.
We've been in, we have always been into it.
So there's 3 left, no matter how you look at it right now.
Right.
So until.
And they've all agreed to be the commission, in the beginning.
Exactly.
Moscow,
All 5.
Wheatland, Adams Village, and the school.
Right.
There were 5 entities. 2 are now leaving. That leaves the 3 that have always been into it.
Exactly.
We've always been into it.
So on the 19th, you're gonna vote to accept their
Yeah,
departure. Are you taking,
we're gonna go on business
and
as
you're just
usual.
gonna continue on full-fledged?
Business
as
as
usual.
usual without, with a couple of causes thrown in there, where everybody's gonna have equal vote, equal say, and equal pay. It's not
That
like
sounds
that.
like a commitment. That sounds like a commitment that you 3 are saying yes.
Yeah, but they're not, you haven't made a decision to do.
They're in it automatically because they're.
Not yet.
there's
Not in
5
that
there.
document.
They're
That proposal
automatic.
does not say you're making the commitment to the big meeting.
All it says is that we are agreeing that if we follow through with this,
Okay.
then we will be 3 equal people, equal partners. 3, not 5, 3. Everybody will agree to this, and if they don't agree with this, then we'll decide whether or not, who's not agreeing and what to do about that at
Which-
that time.
Which if you negotiate that will alleviate considerably Adams' liability because
Absolutely.
the Wheatland and Moscow had a small percentage that they contributed. It wasn't a 20%
Wasn't like
each.
they were given a major amount of money. And the last time we did this in 2001, Moscow came up and covered their end in materials. We did $85,000.
They did, didn't they?
for materials.
Out of the,
Glacial
I
aggregates.
think they donated it, if I'm not mistaken, in Moscow, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not that we're already in, it's just that we're gonna tweak it.
But you can still bail out again.
Sure, everybody can.
But I think the board does eventually need to take a vote to say.
Well, I would ask them.
Or to, I maybe spend money, I guess that's what.
Well, I'd ask them, we're not gonna spend any money without approval. Plain and simple. I already made that perfectly clear. When we had that meeting last time, I am not spending your hard-earned money without permission. Okay?
How do you get permission?
We're gonna have another meeting.
My vote, 0.
What?
My vote is 0.
Well, then don't play on it.
Don't what?
I don't play on it.
Don't play on it.
I don't see anybody playing on it. It's an eyesore. Put up a sign, make the grass feel it. Welcome to North Adams. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well, we'll see what it does, all right? So moving on. I've already made my spiel. Public comment one more time, we probably just did that.
This goes back to the bid for mowing, and including both cemeteries, am I
Yeah.
correct?
Cemeteries and,
Isn't there a third one though?
No, Greg,
well, there's 3, West, Kirby, and the main.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is the other one covered?
I believe so.
Greg is.
Greg does, 2 of them.
Huh?
Greg covers 2. He does Kirby and West. And this company would do this one.
Just, okay, so the bids that you read is just for this
That
one
one
and
and
here?
or the town,
Okay.
this place. Okay, any more public comment?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, last month we created a moratorium for 6 months.
Yep.
1 month is gone by.
Yep.
Okay. I'm disappointed I didn't hear anything about solar. The plan should be pretty straightforward. You need a Creo. That's a comparable renewable energy ordinance. Fayette's going through it right now. They actually have a draft up on the Hillsdale website that you should pull down, review, mark it up, and get something. It's something in the works right now. I think it has to also go through the planning commission.
Actually, we're working on something with the planning commission as we speak. So, and when we finalize something, we'll bring it to you.
I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Nice to see here an update every month because it'll be 1/3 left.
As soon as we know, we'll let you know. I can tell you the same thing every month that we haven't got it done yet. And when I get it done, then you'll be happy. But we're working on it really hard.
I
Because
don't
6
wanna
months
hear
doesn't
it
last.
over November.
6 months doesn't last. So we are working on it. Not just us. We have the attorney onto it. We have another attorney that we are talking to. And we have the planning commission, they're going at full steam at this. So we're gonna try and get it done well before the 6 months. Okay, any more?
Yes, how are we coming with the finding costs that paperwork wasn't done?
We haven't heard anything from them yet.
Okay.
We don't know if we're on the hook for that 48,000 yet or not. Everything was sent in to them. We are just waiting until the IRS gets back to us. And we call it every week. We're not gonna get anything until they're ready to send it to us. So we wait patiently. But everything has been sent.
Don't poke the bear, maybe they won't want to eat.
Telling you, IRS is nobody you wanna mess with. Okay, so any more public? No? I can entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made and seconded. We are all in favor? We are adjourned.